Hey Red Wolf Nation, here's your men's soccer team for the fall 2020 season. First up is Aaron Gibson. Aaron's a senior goalkeeper for us from La Quinta, California. Aaron's been a rock for us in goal for the better part of 3 years. Looking forward to what he's going to bring to the table this last season for us. Next up is Ethan Hunt from Pendleton, Indiana. Ethan's also a goalkeeper, redshirted for us last year, and we're excited about the experience that he gained for us through training coming back this next year. Next up is Cole Fosbrink. Cole had a solid freshman year for us coming off the bench. Cole didn't see quite as much time sitting behind two very solid senior outside backs, but got a lot of good experience this summer playing for a semi-pro team out of Cincinnati, and we're excited for him to step into starting outside back role for us this year. Next up is Santiago Barragan from Colima, Mexico. Chago started for us in the central midfielder this past year, but transitioned into a center back role and really shined there for us. So we're looking for his leadership coming back this next year. Next up is Pedro Ferro. Pedro's a senior forward, similar to Chago. Started out playing one position and got moved into another midway through the year and really blossomed for us playing out on the wing on the right side. Looking forward to his experience and ability playing out wide for us. Next up for us is Trevor Lenke. Trevor is another senior, plays center forward for us from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Trevor's had some injury issues over the course of his career, but really excited. He's motivated and healthy and looking forward to what he's going to be able to do for us this last campaign for us. Next up is Gustavo Ferrari. Gustavo is a sophomore, had a fantastic freshman year for us this past year, earning first team all-conference honors as well as a number team awards as well, voted on at the end of the season by our current players. Really looking forward to what Gustavo is going to bring for us this coming fall. Next up is Tyler Fox. Tyler's a senior outside back for us from Clayton, Indiana. Tyler's been there, been voted team most improved 2 out of the 3 years that he's been here, and just has made a lot of strides in terms of his level of play over his time here. So excited for the experience that he brings. Next up is Danny Sims. Danny's a senior from Fairfield, Ohio. Danny, I think, has the record for most games played. In our 3 years that we've been here, he's just gotten a lot of time on the field, and we're excited for that, culminating in hopefully a very strong senior year for him. Next up is Brian Alvarez. Brian's a senior from Liberal, Kansas. Last year, Brian had transferred in for us from Dodge City Community College and is looking fantastic for us this fall. Really excited for Brian being settled in and being able to do a lot of different things, potentially in a couple different positions for us. Nolan Everts is our next guy up. Nolan's a sophomore that's similar to Cole, sat behind a couple very solid senior outside backs last year, but put in a lot of work during last fall, during the summer, and has looked very solid for us in an outside back role for us. Excited for what he's going to bring to the table. Next up is another senior, Montel James. Montel's from Dominica by way of Lackawanna College. Montel burst onto the scene for us once he got in last year, scored a number of very solid goals for us, plays primarily out on the left wing, but really looking forward to what Montel brings for us offensively. Next up is Alex Polabel from just down the road in Oxford, Ohio. Alex has unfortunately been a bit bitten by the injury bug and still looking for him to potentially get fully healthy so we can see what he can fully bring for us, but has had some good experience and brings some depth to our central midfield. Next up is Fitz Jolly, also from Dominica via Lackawanna College. Fitz was voted by our players as our team's most valuable player last year. Very high level play. We'll miss him for a few games this year as he plays with Dominica's senior national team in World Cup qualifying, which again speaks to the level of player that he is, but really excited about him kind of holding together our central midfield. Next up is Dalen Troutman from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm excited to get Dalen back. Dalen had a very solid freshman year, but it's just been injury bitten the last couple of years, and so excited to get him back on the field and get back to playing. Next up is Gavin Miller from Grand Blanc, Michigan. Gavin is a guy that came in really just working to get himself into the lineup in the central midfield. Wasn't sure how much time he was going to get with three guys that had played quite a bit last year, but he just kept his nose to the grindstone, kept working. And before you know it, he was starting a couple games for us in the fall and looks to be a solid contributor for us, playing as a defensive midfielder this fall. Next up is Alex Izaga from Spain via Central Methodist University. Alex came in and from pretty much the very get-go locked down a starting center back spot for us. Ended up being named to the second team all-conference, team's defensive player of the year, and was just a very solid player for us last year. Excited to have him back and his experience and ability. Next up is Junior Yaplo. Junior will be a sophomore for us athletically. Had a redshirt year last year. Junior is just a big, strong, athletic kid playing in the central midfield, and we're excited to add his depth to our play right there in the middle. Next are our newcomers. Our first newcomer is Nick Budd, comes to us from South Africa. Even though our spring was abbreviated a bit, he was able to get in last January and see some time with us training before COVID hit and had us headed home. But Nick's another very simple player in the central midfield, makes a lot of good decisions, doesn't do a whole lot of fancy stuff, but is just solid and can keep the ball moving for us through the midfield. Next up is Colm Coleman from Darlington, United Kingdom via Erskine College. Colm got some solid experience last year at Erskine, playing at a solid Division II side, and we're excited for him to be adding into our back line. We've got some holes to fill with aforementioned senior outside backs, and Colm, I think, is going to fill in quite nicely for us back there. Next up is Santi Elavarasu from Dubai, United Arab Emirates via Anderson University. Similar to Colm, got some solid experience at a solid Division II side last year. He's already shown a knack for getting up and down out on the wing and scoring some very nice goals in training, and looking forward to seeing him add to our offensive attack. Next up is Tyler Penagar. Tyler is a former teammate of Cole Fosbrink down in Seymour, Indiana. Started off his college career at IUPU Columbus, where they didn't have a team, but decided soccer was too much to have given up, and he transferred in at semester as well. And so, similar to Nick, was able to get some time with us before things went haywire. Come springtime, excited to add him into our attack as well. And then the final addition is Borjan Stamenkovic from Clinton Township. Spent 2.5 years, I guess, at Schoolcraft College. Was a All-American for them in his final season. Was a very solid player in the central midfield. Looking forward to adding that quality to our midfield as well this coming year.